Hi everybody, Shannon Petrovich with Therapist Talks. Again, I'm not usually into the Hollywood scene, but this video of Amber Heard giving a deposition against Johnny Depp is so full of obvious lies, manipulations, and delusional narratives that I wanted to share it to help my viewers see through these things more clearly. Like in my last video called The Therapist's Thoughts on Johnny and Amber's audio argument, this deposition gives us a front row seat to watch things we're often talking about on this channel. How to know when someone is lying. Does someone with narcissistic behaviors know when they're lying? And what is the difference between lies and delusional thinking? We'll see how in the beginning she's lying, and then she shifts into her delusional narratives. Delusional narratives are more confusing than lies, as the person is quite convinced of the truth in their narrative. Knowing the difference between the two is crucial for us to understand and notice in others so we can protect ourselves from narcissistic traits and behaviors. Notice I said traits and behaviors. I've obviously not met Amber Heard and I'm not diagnosing her, just noticing her traits and behaviors as they are played out in this video deposition. If you want to watch the deposition I'm referring to, it's in the description below, and I use minute marks on this to help you track where I am. I'm obviously noticing, not acting as judge or jury. I'm not a forensic psychologist, just a therapist with 33 years in the field who wants to help people who've been drawn into a relationship like this. So let's jump in. If you're essentially an honest person, it's hard to fathom someone lying so blatantly. So you tend to believe them because it's just too outrageous to think it's all false. But as outrageous as it seems, when you're involved with a narcissistic person, the falsehoods are constant. As the scene opens in this deposition, the signs of her dishonesty are really clear. Her eye contact is all over the place. She's looking down, she's scanning around. She's seemingly looking for approval and not making direct eye contact with the person that's asking the questions. There are many twitches and extraneous movements with her face, her eyes, and her hands as she tries to work her affect into what she thinks she's supposed to be doing or saying. She looks as if she's trying to work herself into looking helpless and passive, and she's so focused on this she can't even pay attention to the attorney's questions. And the attorney often has to repeat herself before Amber will answer. The attorney asks direct questions, but Amber avoids directly answering anything. Her affect is incongruent. She smirks when talking about the violence between them, and then she quickly corrects into the sad self-pity affect with the puppy eyes. She acts helpless and childish at times. Even the eating that she starts to do is really childish and really inappropriate for a deposition. She acts like she doesn't understand the questions sometimes, and she can't focus on the audio or what's going on. At no time is she genuine in her fear or sadness or showing any signs of empathy or even triggering. She appears to relish the attention, especially when her attorney comes to her rescue. And she looks to be searching for approval for her answers instead of saying what's true and real. Her answers really have no solid footing. She says, he beat me up all the time. Well, not many times. Well, he beat me up many times before I ever picked up my arms, whatever that meant. Around the 2-minute mark, she starts to eat, and this she uses as a further distraction so she doesn't have to make eye contact or really pay attention. She appears childish at this point, rocking forward and popping whatever it is into her mouth. Her eating almost seems compulsive to avoid the discomfort she's feeling. And around the 2:50 mark, she says that she was trying to escape in this incident that they're talking about. This all starts to wander as she continues to avoid. At this point, she would not pass a lie detector, so let's be clear about that. She's straight up being dishonest. She knows the truth and she's concealing it, and that's what's making her twitch and shift and making her obviously uncomfortable. At around the 4-minute mark, this changes as she starts to get angry and sarcastic and smirking while they're listening to the audio together. Her facade is starting to break down and she's more genuinely herself. From 5 minutes on, they're listening to the audio and we hear Johnny clarify that he's the one trying to keep her away from him, that he tries to close the door 3 times. She puts her foot in the door. He stretches her toes and he apologizes for that. He then says he bends down and she kicks the door into his head. She apologizes for this in this audio, clearly acknowledging that this is what happened. Then around the 7:38 mark, still listening to the audio, he says that he stood up and she clocked him. She says, and in the audio again, she says, "I remember hitting you, but I didn't mean for the door to hit you in the head." So Johnny clarifies, "You didn't mean to hit me in the head with the door, but you did mean to punch me in the jaw?" This part of the audio makes it clear that she both hit him in the head with the door and then punched him in the jaw. While listening to this very damning audio about her violence towards him, she is rolling her eyes, scoffing, smirking, with such obvious derision towards him. We're seeing Amber lose complete touch with the facade that she started with and become for her fully genuine self. At about 8:36, she tells us what she really thinks. Very sarcastically, she says, "Whenever he was injured or touched at all, he referred to it as punched or clocked or whatever." She starts waving her hands very dismissively. "And whether you discussed it with him or not, the last thing you do in talking with him afterwards or trying to reconcile with him is get into the definition of whatever those words mean to him. So I just never addressed it. If he was ever pushed, it was a cloak." That's what she called it. He called it a cold clocked. I mean, he was just very dramatic about it. So in this, we see her dismissing her own violence, minimizing it, and diverting attention. She's devaluing him instead of focusing on what everyone clearly just heard. We also see a certain amount of gaslighting as she tries to say that her punching him in the jaw is really no big deal. Her attorney tries to interrupt, probably seeing his case going off the rails, but she doesn't stop until she's done. And that with her, he's very dramatic. It's clear she has no remorse, no feeling or empathy for hitting him. This is delusional narrative at its finest. She's genuine at this point and would totally pass a lie detector. She believes that what she did is not a big deal. She's belittling, sarcastic, and demeaning towards him, dismissing whatever physical pain she called him, and justifying her actions. This dovetails perfectly with one of the most striking parts of the audio argument, when he confronts her for punching him in the face, and she blows up and responds with, "Yeah, I was hitting you, but I'm not the one bitching about it. You are. You're an effing baby." Again, no remorse or empathy, just calling him out for having an issue with her punching him. She's focused on devaluing him, saying he's very dramatic for saying that she punched him in the face. Then, as if she catches herself being too aggressive, she goes back into the fake, passive puppy eyebrows. She again goes into avoidance and creating extensive stories around each time the attorney tries to get her to admit to what they all just heard. We see that her stories don't hold together. They are so fabricated she can't keep them straight. And again, we see someone who's just straight up being dishonest. And finally, her intensity at the very end, talking about protecting her sister, is really bizarre, as the incident the attorney is bringing up is not even related to the story she's weaving. Again, this is classic for people who lie, and a sure tell that you are being lied to. As empathic people, we often can't fathom how someone could lie. We get so wrapped up in the hows and whys to the point we talk ourselves out of seeing through someone's lies. We also don't see and understand delusional thoughts and narratives. We think that can't be what they really think. Could it be that someone would really think that when they hit you, they're really thinking you're a baby if you get upset about that? Or that they think that they have every right to punch you if they think that you've upset them, and you're supposed to just take it and shut up about it? Yeah, some people really do think that, and those folks are people to stay far, far away from. I did a video called "My Empathy is Killing Me," and in it I talk about this in more detail. In another one called "How to Find a Loving Life Partner, Not a Bad Boy or a Crazy Chick," I talk about keeping your wise mind on board when you're meeting someone and throughout the early part in the relationship. So often people are swept up in the love bombing. They don't see that this person has issues, had issues in the previous relationship, is not empathic, is not kind and caring, is sarcastic and demeaning, they're hurtful and vengeful towards others. These are core character issues that you're not going to change in someone. They will hurt you with these qualities of theirs, and they will not think twice about it. In summary, you can maintain your wonderful empathic qualities and learn not to be a doormat for people with narcissistic traits and behaviors. You can learn to see through their lies and see their delusional thought processes and narratives for what they are and what they say about that person's character, their beliefs, and what that person would be like as a partner. If you've appreciated this video, please like it, subscribe, and share it on your social media. You never know when something you share might help somebody else. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll talk to you again soon.